All right, Shane, part 3. I'd just like to let people know that you refused to be told these questions before we started. So, we really are putting you on the spot. So we carry on with Garte72's questions. Do you keep records of your bets?
I would keep records of win and loss, not the actual bets.
Do you use Racing Post ratings to price your tissue?
No, never have and never will.
What form websites do you use, if any?
Racing Post.
And do you compile a notebook of horses to follow?
No.
Okay, right. Anti-post angle, anti-post value. Shane mentioned pricing everything up 48 hours before. Many would think there is value in backing anti-post, and I don't mean Cheltenham. For example, would Shane never look to find value in the early anti-post market, say Tuesday for Saturday racing, when those markets are available?
That'd be very rare. It would probably want to be, in Ireland, it'd probably want to be one of the classics on the flat, nearly before they'd be priced on the Tuesday. And over jumps, it's probably the festivals, isn't it? Or maybe Irish Grand National, meetings like that. I don't, because you don't know if they're running or not. There's a lack of information out there, where if you're talking about Cheltenham, and even Cheltenham now, the way it's gone, but it'd be very hard to have confidence having a bet even 5 days out. And the way the weather is these days, you haven't any notion of what the ground's going to be. And on the flat, the draw can make so much difference as well. And the field size and how many of the runners are taken up at one stable. There's too much to take on board for me to be betting anti-post.
Okay, Paul Duffin. This is at Duffin77. Paul, what's your opinion on Irish bumpers as a betting opportunity? Do you avoid or play them on a regular basis?
Very rare. Very rare. I think they're tough. Look, they used to be a brilliant betting medium 30 years ago. Any trainer could come along and win a bumper and land a touch. Now, sure, you have Willie Mullins runs a newcomer in the race, and it's just your standard even money shot. You have no idea what you're running against. It could go off 4-9, it could go off 9-4. There are too many unknowns in them for me, and they're now starting to get filled with so many winning pointers that are very difficult to assess. There's too many unknowns.
Okay, this is going back to what you said about pricing something 7-2 and you wouldn't back it at 4-1.
Yeah.
Is this because you price races up to 100% and 4-1 isn't enough of an edge? If you price something at 7-2, what's the shortest price you'd bet it at? That's from Stevie Don.
Yeah, I know, regardless of the horse, and I just know in my mind, thinking about it would be 9-2. I'd find it, and some people probably laughed at, I'd just find it hard mentally to take 4-1 about a horse I made 7-2. Now, I know people are about betting. When I made an example of the Dundalk race, betting it to 120, but that's because you're betting into races that the bookmakers are offering you 4 places and overbroke place books. It's the simplest thing in the world to turn that 120 into 100. You're just knocking each horse out a tick, nearly. It nearly looks after itself. So the hard part is pricing the race. Bringing it down from 120 to 100 is easy. But I will, when I say price those races 120, therefore betting into firms' prices, if I'm having a bet on Betfair before the race, that price automatically becomes bigger in my mind, the tissue price. Turn it into a 100% price.
Okay, now, I told you before we did this, I'll ask the daft questions as well.
Yeah.
Simon Cohen would like to know, asking one of Ireland's top professional punters, ketchup, mustard, or both or neither on a hot dog?
Ketchup.
There you go, Simon.
I detest mustard.
There you go, Simon. If you want to be in Shane's good books, never give him mustard.
Bit of onion.
SR74 Blackbird. What does Shane think of the way bookmakers treat winning punters, restricting their bets to a few quid, and is there a way around this?
Well, unfortunately, there isn't any way around it, and some of the tales that you've read about are sad, to be honest with you. I would have always thought that, every punter deserves a chance. I mean, they're one individual. So you've got a firm, bright lights, trading room, so-called brains of racing, sitting in a trading room, knocking heads off each other, coming up with their prices, and they're not prepared to lay one individual a bet on the race. I don't know what that says about the people in the trading room.
Okay, right. Roy Gillard. He says, I understand that Shane does not want to give too much away, but pricing a race in 20 minutes would only leave a few minutes per runner. Can you give us some of the criteria he would look for at getting the price so accurate? Thank you. I know you've...
Yeah, and that'd just be rinsing and repeating what I said, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, so see the questions before there, Rory. Chris King, 23. I'd love to hear Shane's approach to betting each way based on the interview. I know he may not be able to back 7-2 or 4-1 shot each way regularly, but if there are no limits, do you have an approach on each way betting that you could share?
Yeah, well, I'm not the sort of... I wouldn't be the type of person that'd be going looking for starting off, say, a bad each way race or anything like that. The first protocol will be, if it's, if you're looking at an 8 or 10-1 shot, I'd want to be thinking to myself, am I going to back a second horse in the race? If I am, that'll be a win bet. If I'm pretty confident the only bet I'm having in the race is the first horse I've come down on, and I want to bet it each way, that's fine. But I'd want to be winning on the bet if it's placed before I'd consider having the bet. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want to be taking even a 5 or 10% hit because it's a clever bet. And I don't like betting each way on maidens and stuff like that. Big fields. Your standard 12, 14 runner handicap betting, if they're betting the 4 places, I think they're very good value for money.
Okay, right. Nick Pofrey at 8 Pofrey 8. He's obviously a dedicated follower of fashion. He wants to know where you got your jumper. I'm assuming the one he means in the previous interview, that lovely white.
I saw that question going back. I know I hadn't seen the questions, but that was a question that went back from time of the interview. So I asked Silva, and she told me I got it in Zara in New York, if that helps.
Next time you're over, maybe you can pick one up.
Yeah.
Ryan Burns wants to know, he enjoyed the interview, great stuff. Do you ever bother with sports betting, or is it strictly horses? Thanks in advance.
No, stick with the horses. They on the very odd, rare occasion, a couple of lads, we like the NFL, and for the sake of 3 or 4 hours entertainment on a Sunday evening, we might throw 2 or 3 teams together for a bit of fun, but it would be a total leisure bet. It wouldn't be anything that I'd be expecting to collect off. It'd be for fun.
Okay, Robert Thompson would like to know, it'd be good to hear more in depth about the influence of Alex Farquhar and what lessons did he pass down and what stood Macbeth's approach apart.
Everything was new to me at the time when I met Alec, and it was just all a learning curve. Just every horse had a price. So and just I think I said before, just the reasons why horses could win that didn't look like they had an obvious chance on the card. He just spotted things for reasons that at the time I couldn't comprehend. And it would be on just the profile of the horses rather than anything recent. It's very hard to explain, but I just learned so much off him. Everything was new to me, and like I wasn't the only one. Alec taught a lot of the lads in Powers plenty, so he did, and greatest influence on me of all time. So he was, but very very hard to nail down one particular thing. Just in general, his starting point was always trying to nearly get the favourite beaten, and work from there. And if he couldn't, he'd just tell you the favourite probably win.
Okay, you mentioned him on the Icy interview, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we've tried to get him for an interview. He seems to be quite camera shy.
I'm actually going to meet him on Saturday on the back of it, on the back of the interview. So
so it has done some good then.
We spoke, and I'm going over to Edinburgh to meet him on Saturday.
If you can put a good word in for us, Shane, that'd be good.
I'll mention it. I will.
How much of this is just interaction with me again? How much did you change your attitude before and after listening to how he approached things?
There isn't a chance I'd be doing what I'm doing now only for Alec. Not it changed everything. The approach, it was just night and day the way I was thinking. And you have to put your own spin on it. You can't replicate what he's doing. That's just not possible. But you just have to be like a sponge, and day to day you'd learn something different off him every day. And a reason, you have to use his reasoning and put it into your own work and look out for the things he's looking out for. And then over time they'll come to you. But you did get to learn the concept of value. That was the hard and fast rule. Do you know what I mean? This was a bet at 10-1, and if it was 6-1, let it win.
And how hard was it to come to terms with it's won at 6-1?
Very hard at times, but it's like what I was saying to you earlier. Now, I could live with I live with that on a daily basis, and because I know if I feel I've taken a bad price, I'd be so angry with myself. But if it wins and I haven't bet, it doesn't bother me. And I learned that from Alec over the years. You just have to accept it. And if your pricing is right, overall it will pay dividends. Even if you have missed a few winners, so what? There's another race in half an hour.
And at what point does a horse you made 10-1 that you thought wasn't a bet at 6-1 that wins at 4-1 become you might have made a rick?
Not having the bet.
Yeah.
No, I think you just have to play it over time. Of course, that's going to happen, and you'll probably say, oh, I should have backed it. But if you do that on that occasion, you're going to end up with a lot of. Trust me, over time, if Alec Farquhar told you were getting bad value, you were getting bad value. You weren't going to win.